Thinking about buying a franchise? Don't go it alone. Just like a buyer's agent in real estate, you deserve someone who's on your side every step of the way. That's where Todd Abraham, the franchise guy, comes in. Todd's consulting services are completely free to anyone looking to buy a franchise. He'll represent your interest, make sure all your questions are answered, and walk you through the entire buying process. With Todd in your corner, you'll have the best chance for success from your first call to the day you hold the keys to your new business. So before you buy a franchise, talk to someone who knows the industry inside and out and works for you. Call Todd Abraham, the franchise guy, today at 423-381-0925 for a free, no-pressure consultation. That's 423-381-0925. Your future in franchising starts here. Good first day of August. My name is Todd Abraham, and you are tuning in to the Franchise Marketing Systems Client Spotlight podcast series. And today we have a tasty treat of a podcast for you because we have Miss Nisha Wolf from the Gingham Cafe. And we talked a few days ago, and I got to check out the website. And after seeing, I got hungry just looking at the pictures of the food. And so we are excited to hear her tell us about how this whole franchise and business really got started. And I'm excited to hear her tell you about some of the amazing, and I mean, when you look at a picture of a food item and it makes you want to travel 8 hours to go sample it, that's good photography and good recipes. So Nisha, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yep. So tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us about this awesome restaurant we call the Gingham Cafe.
Well, I'll tell you just a little bit about myself very briefly because it's more important about the cafe. But my husband is retired military. So for the first 20 years of my married life, I moved 17 times. And his last position, which is kind of interesting, he was a helicopter pilot, but he was in charge of the Black Hawk helicopters coming out of Fort Campbell during the Gulf War. So a lot of people have seen different programs on movies and TV, and you can kind of see the Black Hawks. We just watched one recently that was pretty good. You can see the Black Hawk helicopters, so they're really still in business. But anyway, so moving a lot. I love food anyway. Got a chance to taste a lot of different food along the way. Put on, some weight that I probably didn't need to put on. Anyway, so love food. So the last duty station was Fort Campbell, Kentucky, which turned out to be great because I grew up in Lexington, Kentucky, so it was kind of close. And my husband grew up in Oxford, Mississippi, so we kind of decided to retire at Fort Campbell. I am a certified public accountant, and so my first job when we got here to retire was working for our local university. And I did that for a couple of years just to get to know people, and then started my own CPA firm. I had that for about 20 years, sold that, and went back to the university thinking I was going to stay there until I retired. And my daughter and I, in 2013, took a trip to Ireland. And she's a foodie also. And we went to all kinds of really fun places. But the thing that impressed me was their way of eating. It's very communal, and the people just get along so well. The community seems to unite in food, I guess would be the best way to put it. And I had really always been interested in maybe having a restaurant, but even though I've worked since I was 11 years old, I've actually never worked in a restaurant. So I decided that I wanted to start a restaurant, and that's kind of how it started. Got the idea in June of 2013, and we opened our doors the beginning of November of 2013. So it's in about, 10 and a half, golly, it'll be 11 years this coming November.
So now, real quickly, where is your primary store at now?
It is in Clarksville, Tennessee, which for people that are unfamiliar with the military, Fort Campbell, Kentucky actually has more land in Tennessee than it does Kentucky, but the post office is on the Kentucky side, and that's why it's called Fort Campbell, Kentucky. So we're literally right next to Fort Campbell, our county is. And we're a county of about, city, we're about 160,000. County, we're maybe about 250,000 people. So that kind of gives you an idea. We're right behind, I know you're from Tennessee also, so we are the fifth largest city in Tennessee. We're right behind Chattanooga, but we're chasing Chattanooga. So
Right.
Money
Well,
Magazine,
real quickly, I just wanted to interject real quick. So the website for her main business, the cafe, is ginghamcafe.com, and that's GINGHAM cafe.com. And you've got to go check it out because, like I said, if you're like me, just the pictures of some of the amazing recipes that she's done there will make you want to drive at least 4 hours, I would think, to sample it. But they also can buy online, correct?
correct. We have a Amazon brand store, which we started a couple of months after COVID hit, and it was kind of a COVID thing to find a new revenue stream. So we've been on that for about 3 years. So you can find our brand store. Now since our, food is perishable, the only thing we sell on the Amazon stores, we have 6 different breads, breakfast breads, banana, zucchini, walnut, etc. And then we have the 3 dessert bars, which is one of which you said sounded good to you. The white chocolate raspberry, the gooey toffee, and the caramel brookie. So those are our 3 dessert bars. So yeah, if you're long distance, I mean, I sent a package the last week or the week before to Hawaii. So
Wow.
yeah, it can go pretty far.
So tell us about the cafe itself. It really has a very warm, inviting atmosphere, right? And you try to encourage, like you said, from the trip you took to Ireland, you try to encourage the diners to kind of get to know each other. And
Correct. It's we play 70s and 80s music, so it's kind of a throwback type cafe. But we have, all kinds of people. And when we first started, we probably had more people that generation, but now we have been there long enough and been able to be in the community. We've got a lot of younger people that come in too. And, so we encourage, we've got a couple of, church groups that come in on Sundays. We're open 7 days a week from 11 to 3. But those are just the hours we've had since COVID, and that's kind of worked for us. I think different people would do different hours depending on their location, what their community is like. But we have people come, we've got a group coming in that has a book club, and they meet in there. And anyway, it's great. I've been there now, quite a long time, so I probably know 95% of the people that come in, but that's wonderful because I get a chance to chat with them, and most people know each other. So it's, the town's been here long enough that most people know each other in the location where we are in Clarksville.
so now we know that you have a lot of these delicious breads that you make from scratch. What is there other kind of foods and what kind of beverages do you offer there?
Well, most popular is our fruit tea, which we've got our own recipe. All of our recipes are trademarked, so we've done them all ourselves. Some of the names of them will sound familiar, and you can get fruit tea anywhere, but we have our own special recipe for that. And then, of course, we have sweet tea, unsweet tea, and we've got all the different soft drinks and water, things like that, and we have coffee. We don't have the different types of coffee, and people are surprised about that sometimes, but when I did my research on our location, we had 2 different national chain coffee companies that were less than a mile away from the location. and I didn't feel like I can compete with that with, Starbucks, what they have. So, we do have caffeinated, but we don't have, that's not our big thing. Really, food's our big thing. But we have, hot entrees. And our entrees that you can get to eat in the cafe are in also big coolers out in the front of the store. And you can get what's called homemade to go, which is really enough for two people if you add a salad to it or some sort of a side. Um, Everything we make in the store. So you can get chicken salad, you get pimento cheese. Our stuff is kind of different. I guess probably maybe at this point I could tell you about the two food items that are the top sellers, just describe them.
That'd be great.
Yeah, the first one is, and our guys that come in like this, so you're going to probably like this, Todd. It's called Gingham Cafe Grilled Cheese. We call it GCGC. And it is shredded sharp cheddar cheese that we put on the griddle, and it kind of gets soft and warm. And then for our sandwiches, we always use wheatberry bread unless our customers ask for something else. So we put the bread on top of the cheese. And then on top of the bread, we put Havarti cheese, which is a mild white cheese. And then we put pre-cooked bacon on top, and we put it together, flip it, and cut it. So when you eat it, it's kind of crispy on the outside and soft, crispy on the edges and then soft. And that's got that cheddar cheese on the outside. And then you've got the mild white cheese and the bacon on the inside. So that is probably our number one seller. Everybody thinks they can eat a whole one, and they generally can't unless they're starving. We've got some policemen that come in and some HVAC people, and they can't eat it. They're super hungry. Then our second best-selling item is a thing called a pretzel salad. And what that is we take pretzels and we crush them up and we mix them with butter and sugar and we bake it so it's like a pie crust. And then over top of that, we have a cream cheese, whipped cream, other stuff mixture that we spread. Well, we let the bottom cool because you have to bake it. Then we let it cool, and then we spread that. That's the next layer. Then the next layer is strawberry gelatin mixed in with this is hot, so we get it hot, mixed in with some pineapple juice and some other stuff, and we pour that over it. Let that cool off, and then the very top of it, we slice up fresh strawberries. And so when you cut it, it's like a pie, but it's called strawberry pretzel salad. So that's probably our second best seller.
That's very creative. And then like your breads are really a big part of your business, right? Because again, you've got to go to the website and look at it. And of course, if you're in the area, and Clarksville, if I understand it, is northwest of Nashville, not too far.
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, the website, ginghamcafe.com, GINGHAM cafe.com. And these breads, tell us about these breads. I mean, I'll tell you, these look amazing.
Well, it's interesting. I'll just name all six of them real quick. Banana, zucchini, walnut, orange zest, which is a different type of bread most people don't have, but it's yummy. We use real orange juice, and then we zest the orange. The zucchini, we use real zucchini. We shred it up and do what we call ninja-ing it. And then we have pumpkin, lemon blueberry. I think I've named them all. And then we have the bars. Well, the breads you're asking about is great. We do a lot of catering business. We just did a big catering order yesterday for the chief of staff for our public schools. And she absolutely loves our chicken salad. So one of the trays we did, we had to make all chicken salad instead of splitting it up 4 ways. But anyway, our breads are good. We had to really mess around with that recipe when we did the Amazon store because we needed to have it last long enough to do that 2-day delivery. And so we wanted to make sure that it wasn't mushy, but yet it didn't get dry. So we spent a lot of time trying to perfect those bread recipes.
Right.
But anyway, we think we kind of have them there. Of maybe over a 3-year period of time, we maybe had 1 or 2 bad reviews. And I think both of those were during one of the storm periods or snow periods where the delivery was delayed, which is hard because we use FedEx.
Right. So tell us about the franchise opportunity. What made you decide to franchise? And then just talk about what a franchisee could expect once they come on board with you.
Well, I do love to travel. I'm a traveler. I've been many different places, and I just have been so many places, particularly in the Southeast, but honestly, just about any place I think could enjoy typical Southern food. But it's a great opportunity for anybody, but particularly someone that's understands small business and doesn't want to be on call 24/7. So just a good example is we used to have longer hours. They still were not crazy long. We don't serve alcohol, so we did not do a huge dinner thing. And so we brought those hours back. And then when COVID came, we really brought them back more. But the nice thing about the cafe is, depending on where you were, what town, what area, you could lengthen out those hours. Now, if you were a mom with school-age children, you'd want to do what I do and close at 3. Then you can be home for your kids and put them on the bus. And so it's a real flexible type situation. It's a lot of fun. It's very community-oriented. And I just think it's, for me as a younger person, if I had had this opportunity, I would have just, excuse the pun, eaten it up, because it is so flexible for someone that doesn't want to be weighted down, 100% with their own business. And having come from having a CPA firm, that I worked really, really, really long hours, especially during tax season, the difference between what I do now and what I did before is huge, because you can schedule your own hours,
Right.
and you can add staff as you need them.
Well, it is a testament that your store hours are 11 to 3, 7 days a week, and you have a very successful business there. And then, like you said, someone who comes on board as a franchisee could decide to do like a 10 to 7 or a 10 to 5. Now, on the franchise site, which is linked on the main site, if you're interested in looking at more info, it talks about multiple streams of income. So tell us about that.
Well, that really, I've already talked about it a little bit. That refers to, of course, the Amazon store. Is one stream of income. And then we have the catering side, which we can either deliver. I've kind of discouraged that since COVID, the delivery by our store, because it's usually me that does it. And it's kind of expensive for people, to do, but I will deliver and I will set up, but it's a little bit less expensive for people who are now conscious of money. So most of our catering now, people do their own pickup. And it's generally for groups, up to, we've done it before for 100 people, but a little bit better to do for groups between 25 and 50. That's probably our sweet spot, I would say.
So when somebody comes on board as a franchisee, will you be adding their store and their location to the main site? Will they have their own website? How will that work?
They'll have their own website, but on my website, the main website, my store, it'll have a little tab that shows the different locations. So when when, somebody say they're military and they've just gotten transferred to Georgia and they've come to my store near Fort Campbell and they're like, oh, I wonder if there's any more Gingham cafes anywhere near. They can go and click on that location tab and it'll take them to a franchise, their own website, wherever that
That's
store
great.
is.
So
Yeah.
now how will the Amazon store work when you bring on franchisees? Folks place orders on Amazon. Will that be linked directly to their store?
That's a great question. And I asked that question too when I got started. That's just going to be for my store because there's no real way, with, talking with Amazon, there's not a real way to link, where those customers come from. You know, if they were in, let's just say there is a franchisee in Georgia, for example, and whoever owns that franchise says, well, we don't have any today and you're leaving town, you can order through Amazon, blah, 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 blah. But there's no way for Amazon to know where that customer got the first idea to order. Do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Right.
that revenue stream would just be for the main store, which would be mine. My
Okay.
cafe.
And now let's talk about now the support that they will get after they become a franchisee. Obviously, you will be going to their respective locations and training them how to do the different recipes and what have you. So talk about that a little bit. What other forms of training and support that they can expect?
Correct. In general, I'm the business side of it, on that. And so any sort of training like how to do payroll, what sort of, websites to use, how to set up DoorDash, if that's what they choose. They're not required to use DoorDash. Those type of things, I would be the trainer. Anything dealing pretty much with the recipes, how to put those together, how to package them for to go or to package them for DoorDash, package up for catering, which is all different type of supplies. That would be my manager who would be going to the franchisee store with me and we would both do training and she would be what I call, I guess, the operational side,
That's
whereas
great.
I mainly be the business side.
So what is your vision for, I'll tell you one thing I love about your company, not only the different types of, like delicious food that you offer, but, the name is unique. I love that, that kind of really stands out in the person's mind, does mine. So I imagine it will for others. But the website looks really professional and it just has a real, I don't know how to say it, almost like a picnic type feel to it, very
Right.
fresh. I guess that's the word I'm looking for. Um, so what is your vision for the company in 5 years? How many franchises would you like to see and, would you, across the country or in the Southeast or?
Well, that's a great question, and I don't, necessarily have a good feel for it, having just started this process. I feel like it's more suited to the Southeast, but that being said, my mother grew up in California and Los Angeles. All my cousins live there, and then my sister lives in New York City. So, I have, contact with people out west and in the Northeast, and the interesting thing about the Northeast is they probably couldn't get a lot of the type of food that I have just because that's not, kind of what they do in that area. Same for California. So then I kind of question myself and say, well, maybe those would be great places to have a Gingham Cafe because
Right.
it'd be so different. It's kind of like, typical food like Chicago pizza. I'm sure there's tons of Chicago type pizza in Chicago, but other places it's kind of like, oh, that's really different. So honestly, I don't know, but I think it'd be fun no matter where it was. And like I said, I
Well,
love to travel.
honestly, I think in the big cities like in New York and like maybe even Denver and places like that, Seattle, I think one of these would do really, really good, for that very reason, like you said, because, we live in a country now, there's so many transplants, in so many different areas. I mean, fact, we've got so many people from California moving here because the cost of living out there has just become insane. As well as we've got folks from the Northeast, but then you get reverse migration as well. So I think they would do good just about anywhere, but especially in those niche cities like New York, maybe Miami, where people have more disposable income.
Right. I agree. And, I am a talker. So if I have time, I try to, and especially if I'm a food runner, I get to talk to my customers. But you're 100% right. I can't believe how many people I've talked to in the last year and a half who have moved. Particularly, I've had several in the last month or two that have moved from California. So,
Right.
and you're exactly right. That's what they say. They want to come buy land. They want to start an organic vegetable garden, or they're going to work in Nashville. And we're about, I would say 35 minutes away from Nashville. So it's a wonderful place in terms of if you don't want to live in a big city, but you want to be able to get, like I just saw Hamilton last year, went to the Performing Arts Center there. And so we've got access to a lot of things out of Nashville. Not very far to drive, but, I do think you could probably do this anywhere. I think it would just depend. And the other nice thing that I meant to mention that you probably would not have seen, because it's not really on the website, but the nice thing about this franchise is I've prepared, for potential franchisees, just blank, no price menus. So let's just say you went to New York City. My sister lives there. The prices are really high.
Yeah.
They don't have to use my prices.
Right.
So, like the sandwich I was talking about at GCGC, it's not unusual probably to pay 18 or 19 or $20 for a really nice sandwich
Oh,
in New
yeah.
York City.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, you go to fast food here in Athens, Tennessee, which, forever has been known as one of the most inexpensive places in the country to live. And even for like a fast food meal, you're going to run about $12. I mean, and that's, 5 years ago, that'd have been unheard of.
you're 100% right. And I just saw I'm on a bunch of different boards with, restaurants and stuff. And I just saw something posted this week that, for the first time, I think it's in 30 or 35 years, McDonald's had a hard time, increasing their sales. And
Right.
I think a lot of it is due to the fact that they've had to go up on their prices. And so we know that supply and demand are inverse relationships. So,
Well, Nisha, this has been a lot of fun. So, as we get ready to wrap up, talk about your experience with franchise marketing systems and tell us about what you love about your interaction with them so far.
well, kind of two fun stories. I found out when I was, looking at different companies to use, I saw, franchise marketing systems and noticed that it was based in Atlanta. We lived in Atlanta. One of my husband's rotations, we lived there for about 4 years. So I was like, oh, Atlanta, that's pretty cool. And my brother lived there for two. Now he lives in Gainesville now. But anyway, so I was going through and talking to people and got hooked up with Chris, who's the president. Well, anyway, long story short, I was going to visit my brother who lives in Gainesville on the lake. And, this was last summer. And I was trying to get a time to talk to face with Chris. And, we were having a difficult time and I kept trying when I got to my brother's. Wait. Long story short, he and my brother live in the same neighborhood. Now, what a crazy story.
Yeah. What a coincidence.
I mean, that's just, kind of almost unheard of. But anyway,
Yeah, it is.
he's great to work with. Well, pretty much everybody has been great to work with. Another fun story is, Tim, who lives in Chicago. One of the things I really like about FMS, and maybe it's because I have lived so many places, but all of the different people that work with FMS, they're all from different regions of the U.S. Well, actually,
Right.
one girl was even in Canada. And so it's been great to whatever section I'm working on, whether it's the strategic plan or whatever it is, I get feedback from them on the restaurant scene wherever they are, whether it be Chicago
Right.
or Las Vegas. So that's really been fun. But a fun story about Tim, he's the one that works for FMS that physically came to the cafe to see it. I think they do that for everybody, which is good because, you can see stuff on the internet, but you can't, like for you, I can tell you about those white chocolate raspberry bars, but until I send some to you and you taste them, you don't really, you don't
That's
really
right.
know, what you
That's
think
right.
about them. But anyway, Tim came and his family just has a brand new baby. So we were chatting. He wasn't there long. It was just a short visit, but we're walking out to his car. He was going back to the Nashville airport. And he was telling me about that he didn't get a lot of sleep. I think his baby at that time was maybe 2 months old. I said, well, let me go run back in and get you something in the cafe. So I ran back in. I got him some lemon blueberry bread. I said, take this with you. So then he emailed me. We've been emailing back and forth after he got back to Chicago, lives somewhere outside of Chicago. And I said, well, how's the baby doing? And did you give it the bread so it would sleep? And so, he's cute. I'm sure he didn't give the baby the bread, but he might have. And so he's like, yep, I'm going to have to get some more of that bread because the baby's sleeping through the night. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
the great thing about franchise marketing systems, and I'm sure one of the things that would impressed you is, Tim is the one that does the operations manual for all
Correct.
of the franchisors. And I was just, even for my own franchise, which I didn't think needed an operations manual, I was thoroughly impressed at the professionalism of it, the detail of it. And I thought it would have cost me probably several $1,000s if I'd have paid somebody else to do that, maybe a lot more than that, who knows, but just taking the anxiety out of it for me was such a wonderful thing. And that's what I love about FMS is they take the anxiety out of every step of the process to create a franchise out of your business. And they do things that I didn't even think that they would do, like the trademark and the LLC. I mean, all those different things. It's just really very thorough and very positive. So that's an exciting part of working with franchise marketing systems. And that's why, it's called your one-stop shop for everything franchising. And, but Nisha, this has been a blast. I mean, again, we're talking with Nisha Wolf. She is the founder and president of Gingham Cafe Franchises. The primary website is ginghamcafe.com, Gingham cafe.com. And there's a link there at the top if you're interested in the franchising aspect of it. Very unique concept in the restaurant business for sure. And again, just to remind you, you're listening to the Franchise Marketing Systems Client Spotlight podcast. And here on franchiseradio.net, if you're interested in creating a franchise out of your business, like FMS has done for Nisha and the Gingham Cafe, we'd love to hear from you, give you a free consultation. You can call me, Todd Abraham, at 423-381-0925 Eastern Standard Time. And when I say it's a free consultation, that is a free, absolutely no pressure consultation to let you know if your business is ready to franchise, and if so, all the awesome things that FMS can do for you to create a franchise out of your business. Nisha, any final comments as we sign off here? Would you like folks to have your direct contact information or go through the franchise website?
Well, the one thing I did forget to go over, if they do get on that website, ginghamcafe.com, it's very easy for them to see there's 3 different menus. There's a catering menu, dine-in menu. There's also a homemade to-go menu, which we've got big coolers with food where people can pop in, take food and go because everybody's so busy. So that's been a huge hit. So you can actually see those. The other really neat thing about the website is you can order online through the website, and it goes directly to my point of sale, which is Toast. So that's pretty cool. also on there, like you said, I believe if you click all the way down, there's a information sheet for being interested in the franchise. But I would love to speak to anybody. The email address is on there. It's pretty easy. It's just info at ginghamcafe.com.
Perfect. Well, Miss Deisha, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for all that delicious food that you're making for all of us hungry, taste czars, I guess, for lack of a better word. I just had a funny thought as we close. I was thinking, when I asked you about the vision for the company and how many franchises, I was thinking, you could have said, well, I want to be Gingham Khan. Instead of Genghis Khan, you want to be Gingham Khan, and just have an empire of Gingham cafes all over the country, well, that would be funny. But thank you so much for your time, sweetheart. You have a great night. And thanks everyone for tuning in on franchiseradio.net. This is Todd Abraham signing off with the Franchise Marketing Systems Client Spotlight podcast. Tune in for our next show. Thank you.